How's it going, everyone? Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome back, of course, to another weak spot guide. Today we're talking about the Tortoise, the tier 9 turretless TD, which is arguably better than the Badger at tier 10. Just depends on how you look at things. But yeah, this thing is very, very well armoured and can be a bit of an issue for a lot of people. Obviously, we're starting off with the 430U to show you how kind of a normal tier 10 gun deals with it. And then I'm going to actually switch into, say, something like a Tiger 2, which is, you know, tier 8, and it's not got super good characteristics for the gun and stuff like that, but we're going to see what that's like. E3, I'm not going to show this time because it's just going to obliterate it in all the ways that a heat round would anyway. So the Tortoise, the main weak spot is this cupola over here, and you think, wow, that's a massive weak spot. No, because the only actual weak spot is this tiny little plate right here. It is very, very small, as you can see. It is only this little bit here. If as soon as you go past it, that's 300 millimeters, around about 280. And of course, with heat rounds, you could pen this, but it's for normal ammunition standard rounds. You want to aim always for this spot right there. That will pen because it's only about 180 millimeters thick at most. And heat rounds, of course, yes, you can press the 2 key and you can go through the normal cupola. So it's up to you what you want to do. There are a few options, obviously, whether or not you just want to fire heat and then you have kind of a lot of, you know, places that you can actually pen, or you just go for AP rounds and just try and hit that tiny little spot there. Now, other spots on the tank, AP rounds will just not cut it. Around about 250, 260, any kind of normal heavy tank AP rounds that you can get at tier 10, even like the Chieftain's 270 is even going to struggle against this. Not that anyone fires 270 standard rounds in a Chief anyway. But there is a spot around here which is about 270 millimeters thick, meaning that with AP rounds, yes, you can high roll and get lucky, but most of the time you are just going to bounce straight off of it. And obviously with heat rounds, it goes straight through. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, no matter whether you have heat rounds or just AP rounds, it's not worth it to try and shoot at this side because it's just not going to work. With heat rounds, you can chance it and you might get lucky, but most of the time you are not. Another thing you can do is go straight through here, but be warned, it's around about 300 to 330 millimeters thick. So yes, technically speaking, you could go and pen the side of this, but why would you bother? Like, whether it's facing you round a corner or not, never go for this, okay? Because if it's facing, say, let's say it's facing from this side here, and you cannot see this cupola, then you just try and go for this one with your heat rounds. There's no point trying to go for this turret ring or anything like that. There's just go for that weak spot there. Even at some extreme angles, it can still actually hit it. And yeah, sure, we're now approaching a 50-50, but most of the time, it's going to be around about like this sort of angle that it's trying to hit you from. It should be good most of the time to aim for there. The lower plate is not really worth shooting unless you're firing heat rounds at it. It is a solid, like, that's like 400 millimeters thick there, nearly. As you can see, no matter where you kind of go, if you go a bit higher up, then yes, it gets a little bit weaker. And there is a tiny little spot around here that you can pen. But it's so small that it's like the E3's lower plate. It's just riddled with like just well armored bits here and there, and that tiny line is not a guaranteed kind of pen because if it goes a bit high, a bit low, it's just not worth it. Just head on though, yeah, sure, you can just go straight through it. No problem. Okay, so now we are in the Tiger 2, and yes, of course, you can pen the cupola because it has more than 180 pen for its standard rounds. Everywhere else though, you're going to start to struggle a little bit because, yeah, you can't really go through that. And even with premium rounds, it's starting to be like a 50-50 kind of affair with that. And you can't really go through this because, again, it will sometimes low roll the pen. So the Tortoise against tier 8s and below, I mean, the fact that a Tortoise can see a tier 7 is just stupid. Like, it's so dumb. If a Tortoise is top tier, it will just decimate everything. The only downside to it is that it's slow. So yes, there is a chance that you can go through it, but most of the time you're going to end up bouncing I mean, I suppose most... It's like a 55% chance, right? There we go. And then we miss that one. Well, we don't miss, but we bounce. Yeah, against tier 8s, it's interesting with the amount of pen, because no matter what you try and do, most of it is just unpennable. You can't really get around it always, and people use the excuse, oh, just flank it. Most of the time in a normal battle, you can't just flank it. Like, it doesn't work like that. If this thing was sitting at the end of Banana Road there, and I'm at the other end, I'm not going to be able to flank it. So, yes, I mean, the good news is that you can permatrack it and do damage. So, there is that. So, the actual angle that you need, once you go for about here, bearing in mind, he can still basically shoot you from here. The gun arc on the Tortoise is really, really good. So, if you are going to permatrack this thing, you better hope that he does not have improved config. Otherwise, you are not permatracking him and you are going to die. Now, the side of the Tortoise is around about 180 to 100mm thick. It's 100mm thick right at the back here. And then once you hit this weld, it goes a little bit more. It's actually this weld here. But basically 100 at the back here, where the engine would be. And then you have this being about 150. And then the tracks, obviously, with about 150 to 100, depending on where you shoot. It's also 100 round the back, which you need to be careful of. So it's 102 there. The cupola is also 102. Doesn't really matter where you shoot it. 101, but it's 100mm basically everywhere. And you can't shoot it here, because even though it might look like there's armor here, this is all just tracks. Like, the tracks goes all the way up to about here. As you can see, like there. Like, all of this is just tracks. There's no armor here. So don't go shooting it there if you're in the rear, because this is actually quite big bait. Like, look at this. This isn't even a... I can shoot through it. It's not even modeled. So, yeah, I mean, Wargaming, please do not shoot it over here or over here, because the exact same thing applies. It's just bait. If you're going to shoot it in the bum, make sure you do it properly. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it does will help me out greatly. And let me know what you would like to see next on the weak spot guides. Because, yeah, we'll try and do them kind of every other week, maybe every week. It just depends on how I feel. Maybe I have another video in the works, and then, you know, that gets replaced for that week, and then it'll be the next week. But, yeah, I like doing these. They're nice to learn about. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.